I've been hiking for years. Not because I'm some hardcore outdoors guy or survival expert. I just like being alone sometimes. No phone calls, no traffic, no people, just quiet. A few months ago, I decided to hike part of the Appalachian Mountains by myself. Nothing crazy, just a 3-day trip to clear my head. At first, everything was normal. The trails were empty, the weather was good, and honestly, it felt nice being away from everything for a while. During the day, the mountains were beautiful, but at night, those woods felt different, too quiet, like the forest was listening. By the 3rd day, I was already tired and ready to head back home. I still had a few miles left before reaching the next campsite when the weather suddenly changed. And I mean suddenly. The sky went dark almost instantly. Wind started tearing through the trees, and within minutes rain was pouring down so hard I could barely see the trail in front of me. Thunder shook the mountains. I remember thinking, great, this is how people end up getting lost. That's when I saw the cabin. It was hidden deep between the trees, maybe 50 feet off the trail. Small wooden place, old roof, dark windows. At that moment, I didn't care who owned it. I just needed shelter. I ran onto the porch and knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. So I tried the handle. Unlocked. The inside was dark and smelled like wet wood and smoke. There was a table, 2 chairs, a little stove in the corner, and a tiny back room with an old cot. The place looked abandoned. At least until I saw the food. There was a bowl of stew sitting on the table, still steaming. Next to it was a spoon and half a loaf of bread. I just stood there staring at it. Because abandoned cabins don't usually have hot food inside them. I called out, "Hello." Nothing answered except the storm outside. I checked every room. There weren't many places to look. The cabin was tiny. Nobody there. No bags. No clothes. No car outside. Nothing. But somebody had clearly been there recently. I should have left. I know that now. But the storm kept getting worse, and honestly, I was exhausted. So I stayed. I locked the front door, laid my sleeping bag near the stove, and tried not to think too much about the stew sitting on the table a few feet away from me. At some point, I fell asleep listening to the rain hit the roof. Then I woke up. I don't know what time it was. Everything was dark except for a little moonlight coming through the windows. At first, I couldn't figure out why I woke up. Then I noticed the front door. It was open, wide open. Cold air drifted into the cabin. I sat up immediately. For a second, I honestly tried convincing myself maybe I forgot to lock it. But no, I remembered locking it. I know I did. I grabbed my flashlight and looked around the room. Nothing. Nobody there. The woods outside were completely black. I got up, shut the door, and locked it again. This time, I shoved one of the chairs under the handle too. That's when I noticed something else. The bowl of stew was gone. The spoon was still there. The bread was still there. But the bowl itself had disappeared. I felt this heavy knot form in my stomach. I searched the entire cabin again. Every corner. Under the cot. Outside in the rain. Nothing. No footprints. No sounds. No sign anybody was around. But when I stepped back inside, I noticed a smell. Mud. Fresh wet mud. Strong enough that I could smell it immediately. I barely slept after that. Every little noise made me open my eyes. The wind outside. Water dripping from the roof. Branches scraping against the walls. Then sometime later, I heard footsteps. Above me. On the roof. Slow. Heavy. Thump. 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 The cabin creaked with every step. I froze inside my sleeping bag and stared at the ceiling while the footsteps slowly moved from one side of the roof to the other. Then, they stopped directly above me. Everything went silent. And then I heard breathing. Slow breathing. Like somebody standing right over me in the dark. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe properly. I just lay there listening while that thing stayed above me for what felt like forever. Eventually, the sound stopped. No footsteps. No breathing. Nothing. At some point near sunrise, exhaustion finally knocked me out again. But I woke up one last time to the sound of wood scraping across the floor. Morning light was coming through the windows. I looked toward the door. The chair I had shoved under the handle was gone. It was back beside the table, perfectly straight, but the door was still locked. I didn't wait another second. I grabbed my backpack and left the cabin immediately. The storm had passed, but fog still covered the woods. I made it a few minutes down the trail before something hit me. The ground outside had been covered in mud all night. So where were the footprints? I hadn't seen any. Not one. I stopped walking. Then I remembered something I forgot to check. The floor beside my sleeping bag. I don't know why, but I went back. The cabin was empty, silent, cold, and beside the spot where I had slept, there was one muddy boot print, facing directly toward my sleeping bag. I still don't like talking about that trip. Not because something jumped out at us or anything like that. It wasn't like that. It was worse. Because nothing ever showed itself clearly enough for us to understand what it was. It started as a normal camping trip in the Appalachian Mountains. Me and my girlfriend, Sarah. We'd done camping before. Nothing extreme. Just weekend trips, fire, food, a little hiking. Easy stuff. This time we went deeper into the forest than usual. Far enough that there was no signal. No roads nearby. Just trees in every direction. The first day was fine. Second day too. We set up camp near a small clearing, just off a trail. Thick tree line all around us. Quiet. Peaceful. Almost too perfect. That's the first thing I remember thinking. Too quiet. No birds. No bugs. Even the wind felt like it was avoiding our camp. That night, we were sitting by the fire when Sarah heard it first. "Did you say something?" she asked me. I looked up no. She frowned. "I swear I just heard you call my name." I laughed a little. Told her it was probably just an echo bouncing off the hills. But even as I said it, I didn't feel sure. A few minutes later, I heard it too. From the trees. My own voice. Clear as day. Calling Sarah's name. I stood up immediately. Okay, that was weird. Sarah was already staring into the tree line. That sounded exactly like you. We tried to convince ourselves it was some weird echo trick. Mountains do that sometimes. Sound travels funny in dense forests. So we ignored it. That was our mistake. Because later that night, it happened again. But this time, it didn't come from one direction. It came from two. From the left side of the forest, I heard Sarah's voice. "Hey, come here." And from the right side at the exact same time, my own voice answered her. "Come here." We both froze. The fire between us suddenly felt way too small. Sarah grabbed my arm. "Tell me you heard that." I didn't answer. Right away, because I was already listening again. And then it spoke again. From the trees behind us. My voice. Calling her name. Not shouting. Just calm. Like I was standing right there in the dark. Sarah whispered, "We're leaving in the morning." I nodded. Neither of us slept. We sat by the fire until sunrise, both pretending not to hear anything else. But it didn't stop. It got worse. The next night, it started calling us separately, from opposite sides of the camp. Sarah, my name, at the same time, perfectly matched to us. Like two people were standing in the forest copying us. Except it didn't sound like copying. It sounded exact. Not just the voice, the tone, the breathing, even the tiny pauses between words. Sarah started crying at one point. Quietly, trying not to make noise. "I don't like this," she whispered. "I know," I said. Then it called my name again, right behind me. So close it felt like someone leaning over my shoulder. I turned fast with the flashlight. Nothing, just trees. But the second I turned back, Sarah was staring at something behind me. Her face went pale. "What?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just pointed. From the tree line, my voice spoke again. Except this time it didn't call a name. It said, "Don't leave." We left anyway. We packed everything in under 10 minutes and drove out of there like we were being chased. The entire drive back, neither of us spoke. Even after we reached the highway, even after we got home, we didn't talk about it. We just agreed it was something we didn't understand. Something natural. Maybe wind. Maybe sound echo. Maybe stress. That's what we told ourselves. But a few days later, Sarah woke me up at night. She was sitting up in bed, staring at the front door. "Did you hear that?" she asked. I listened. Nothing. Then, a knock. Slow. 3 times. I got out of bed quietly and walked to the door. I looked through the peephole. No one. I opened it a little. Cold air came in. And then I heard it. From outside. My voice. Very calm. Very close. "Let me in." I froze. Sarah came behind me, whispering, "That's you." I shook my head slowly. Because it sounded like me. Exactly like me. But I wasn't speaking. The knock came again. 3 slow hits. And then, again. "Let me in." Sarah grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. "Don't open it," she whispered. I didn't. We stood there in silence. Listening. Waiting. Then the voice changed. Not louder. Just closer. Like it was pressed right against the door. And it said something else. Something that made my stomach drop. It said my name. In my voice. Perfectly. And then it said, "I'm already inside your house." The hallway light behind us flickered once. Just once. Sarah whispered, "That wasn't funny." I didn't answer, because I was looking at the hallway mirror. And for a second, just a split second, I saw someone standing behind us, mimicking my exact posture, smiling. But when I turned around, there was no one there. The knocking stopped. The house went completely silent. And to this day, I still don't know if it ever left, or if it just learned how to sound like us, so we let it in ourselves.